Sadly, we're still dealing with racist elected officials because we're still in a racist America, anti-black, racist, white supremacist America that we're all trying to navigate. Check out this headline right here. Resignation demanded after Wisconsin GOP officials boast of suppressing Black and Hispanic votes. I mean, they just doing this stuff in such an overt way. Why? Because there are oftentimes very few consequences and repercussions for this kind of behavior. The racist official in question is Robert Spindell, a member of the Wisconsin Elections Commission. We are putting up the man's smug shot. That is it right there. Take a good look at him. Please do that for us. And here is what he wrote in an email to fellow Republicans in the district. In the city of Milwaukee, with the 4th Congressional District Republican Party working very closely with the RPW, the RNC, the Republican Assembly and Senate campaign committees, statewide campaigns, and RPMC in the Black and Hispanic areas, we can be especially proud of the city of Milwaukee, 80.2% Dem vote, casting 37,000 less votes than cast in 2018 election, with a major reduction happening in the overwhelmingly Black and Hispanic areas. The man said we can take great pride, we can celebrate this decline. And by the way, Mr. Spindell is also a major endorser of fraud. Spindell is also a defendant in 3 separate pending lawsuits related to him serving as a fake GOP elector. One in federal court seeks 2.4 million in damages from Spindell, and the other fake electors alleging that they were part of a conspiracy by Trump to overturn the election. And Spindell and the GOP's voter suppression plan included the following. Let's take a look at this. Fighting Black radio negative commercials run last few weeks of the election cycle straight at Dem candidates. A substantial and very effective Republican coordinated election integrity program, resulting with a lot of Republican paid election judges and trained observers, and extremely significant continued court litigation. Now the group, Black leaders organizing for communities, were not shocked at all by this news. Why? Because they're dealing with this on a regular basis. And this is what they had to say about this situation. While this is incredibly disturbing, we are not surprised by this recent revelation of additional Republican tactics used for voter suppression. Many of us have been sounding the alarm about how sinister voter suppression tactics have become, and Spindell's comments reinforce what we already knew. And that's coming from Black leaders organizing for communities. And Mary, I mean, we're using Wisconsin as an example, but none of this is new.
Yeah, I mean, and the tragedy is, I think what happens is because everybody in America, for the most part, is struggling or living paycheck to paycheck and trying to survive for the most part, especially when you're talking about Black people and people of color. So we forget that Republicans aren't just waiting to election cycles to try to prevent you from going to the vote. But what was telling in his statement was he said something that was deafening for me. Let me rewind a little bit, give people a little bit of new history, but not old history. 2013, Republicans lost to a Black man named Barack Obama. And they were really torn up because Mitch McConnell said his main agenda was to make that man a one-term president. This is the first and only Black president in this country, right? So after they lost, the Republican Party did an autopsy report. You remember that 2013? The first thing they said was they're isolating Black voters because of their rigid policies and holding on to this history of racism. They're siding too much with business or putting business over workers. Well, fast forward to 2023, that autopsy needs an autopsy. I think this Republican Party now has just said that autopsy does not know who we are or what we want to be. To send an email in this day and age to thousands of people bragging about suppressing votes shows you where we are. I hear so many times people say, oh, MAGA is about Trump. MAGA is not about Trump. MAGA is about America.
Come on, man.
Trump was an idiot face that just gave people the strength to be who they've always been, who their ancestors were. And now they're in eyes with Trump at times about Kevin McCarthy, about other issues, about the budget. They don't care about, these are not conservatives. These are racists. So when people say these conservatives, I get my problem with conservatives for sure, but these are racist. The Republican Party is a racist party right now. To say that you care about democracy, the lie they told about defunding the police when we were screaming defund the police didn't mean nothing because they beat police across the head on January the 6th.
Yeah, they did.
They want to defund the FBI and the Department of Justice. Those are the two largest police forces that I know of in this country. This is about white supremacy renaming itself in a space where it feels like it's losing its America because America is browning faster than they like. And the way they'll do it is we can't win your vote. We don't want your vote. We'll just prevent your vote. Disenfranchisement. You're not a citizen if you can't vote. And they're okay with that.
No, man, they are. They just gonna change the rules of the game. Get all the power and change the rules. That's exactly what they are doing. And these people need to be held accountable. I mean, there has to be some accountability for this type of behavior. And this is a reminder that we all must remain vigilant because the vote really is one of the greatest equalizers that we have. It's one man, one woman, or one person, one vote. Most people are not going to run for office or hold elected office. So the one space that we have where we're all supposed to be equal in theory is the ballot box. But when you have elected officials who run for office for a living and who have the pure unadulterated gall to try to trample on other people's right to vote, we have a problem and we no longer have a representative democracy, or in other words, represented by some folks, as long as other voices are trampled upon. And here are some steps we want to share with you as we close this segment about how to fight voter suppression. If you plan to vote by mail, request your ballot immediately. Host a virtual voting party to go through ballot measures. It's a shame that you would have to do something like this in 2023, but you do. Consider working at the polls. We need people who are committed to expanding and protecting access to the ballot box to consider doing a civic duty, which is working at the polls, and make sure everyone in your household has a ride and a plan. And please, by all means, stay in line. On the government side, there's so much more that elected officials should be doing. It is really a tragedy that the John Lewis Voting Rights Act did not get passed during the last Congress. All the excuses in the world were made why that was not done, as they were singing praises to this congressman who should be lifted up, and he talked about making good trouble, but they sung all of his praises as he is not on this physical plane with us anymore, but they will not follow in his footsteps in terms of uplifting access to the ballot box for all people. That is what Congressman John Lewis fought for in his lifetime, along with the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and people like Daisy Bates and Ella Baker and so many others of their contemporaries. But we have a Congress right now. We have too many elected officials on the state level of government who just absolutely do not give a damn. But we do. We care, and that's why we're going to continue to push these issues.